So a lot of us are familiar with the concept of fair value gaps when it comes to smart money concepts, ICT trading. And one of the tools that I've found to be very, very effective that I don't think very many people are aware of when it comes to finding precision with fair value gaps and imbalances is something called the fixed range volume indicator. And so what I'm going to do in this video is show you exactly how I have it set up for my settings and to really find precision when it comes to taking entries off of fair value gaps. And this is what the tool looks like at a glance. If we go into full screen here, you can actually see the inefficiency of orders being offered on the buy side in this instance during this huge sell-off on gold this morning. You can see that price retraces back beautifully into the area where the bulk of fair value gap was left behind before then continuing to sell off. And obviously we're in consolidation here, but this is something that you can use to further refine your entries using fair value gaps. So let's go ahead and dive into it. First things first, before we even try and get the settings like this, where is it that you can actually find this indicator? Okay, so going into the indicator settings on TradingView, you're going to type in fixed range volume profile. And this is going to come up. Now, this is one that is made by TradingView, but I do believe it's only accessible for people that have the paid version. I could be mistaken. Let me know down in the comment section below if that's the case. But either way, this is a phenomenal tool. I've been using this for years when it comes to really visually seeing where fair value gaps and the lack of order flow actually is in the market. So go ahead, favorite this, add this to your favorites, and by default, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. All right. And what you would want to do with this tool, how you're going to use it is you're going to find and identify that fair value gap. So for example, this one right here is one that I was taking a look at this morning on gold. And I actually had buys and was looking to target this fair value gap for my take profit. And so when taking a look at this, how would we use this tool on the chart, right? Well, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to measure from a couple candles before the actual fair value gap, and then you can choose where to finish or kind of end, the measurement with this volume fixed range volume profile. So I'm going to end right here. And this is not, like I said, this is not how the default settings are with this indicator. In fact, if we were to go ahead and apply the defaults, this is what it looks like. So by default, it looks super strange, kind of weird. Maybe some of you guys have heard of volume or VPVR, which is, if we were to find this in here, visible range volume profile, which is to a certain extent kind of similar, but honestly, I don't use this. I don't use this. And the only time that I use anything even remotely close to what we're currently seeing on screen is to really identify where there's a lack of orders, where there needs to be imbalance fills in the market. And so how can we get the settings to actually show the volume and basically the orders that took place in this area of fair, imbalance and as a fair value gap? So what you're going to want to do is pull up the settings. I have this saved as a preset. So I can click this, it's going to pull it up. It's going to give me exactly what I want to see. So instead of me showing you one by one how to go from here, the default settings to here, I'm just going to encourage you guys to copy the settings exactly as I have it with the indicator so you can have the same exact thing. All right. You can extend it to the right. I would not recommend that though. It's better to just keep it in the range that you've measured it from. And sometimes, just so you guys know, if I'm zoomed out, I might not necessarily be able to see those numbers. Okay, so what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to zoom in, and sometimes you have to stretch the chart a little bit to actually be able to make out what these numbers are. But in this case, right, measuring from here to here, it's showing me on the left-hand side any sort of sell pressure in the market and orders and volume that's coming in. And then the right side is buy pressure or volume that's coming in on the buy side. And so you can see with this indicator, and I'll show you how to get the settings like this in a second, but you can see literally the zeros representing that fair value gap being legitimate in this area as a result of there being literally no or basically no opportunity for buyers to be positioned during this huge sell-off. And this is on the way to capture liquidity and so on and so forth. But how do we get the settings like this? Okay, most important thing is getting our settings like this. So first things first, right? Number of rows is what I have under inputs as the first setting. Row size, I have, I don't think this has been changed, 24. Volume up and down. And then the value area volume, I just have set at 70. Style, this is what you're really going to want to focus on in terms of making sure that your settings are the exact same as mine. So I have, volume profile is selected, and instead of me having these different up volumes and different colors and stuff like that, kind of like how it was before by default, I have this zeroed out, and all I have is the value showing. Okay. And I've made this black text so I can see it nice and easily. Okay. And basically, this is showing me the numbers just as it would with the plotting of those little bars. But what I've done is I've taken up volume and I've completely blanked it out, down volume, blanked it out entirely. Usually it's yellow, value up area, blank that out, and value down area we've also blanked out. And then all this stuff, sometimes there's like these lines or like the POCs in the middle. I've gotten rid of all that stuff, right? So unselected all of these boxes. All right, there's like the histogram, which is the background for the shading. And I do have this set to 11%. So if you want to have it literally the exact same as mine, mine's 11%. And that's pretty much it. Coordinates are obviously going to be, how you've dragged it and put it onto the chart, and then visibility. You can change this if you only want it to be visible. Right now I'm on the 5 minute time frame. So maybe I only want this visible on the 5 minute. Right. What I can do is unselect all these different time frames. And then if I go to the hourly time frame, that's no longer going to be on the chart. Okay. It's, from over in here, hourly time frame, it's not going to show. And it's only going to show on the 5 minute time frame, not the 15 minute, right? Not the 1 minute. Okay, you can change the visibility as you'd like to see it. All right, but that's essentially how I've found some value in using this tool to kind of just reassure myself that this is in fact a true imbalance, a true fair value gap. And you can really use this thing to your advantage when it comes to finding more refined and precise entries out of fair value gaps. Let's say that we wanted to measure this area where we saw basically a V-shaped recovery from this sell-off after capturing this low to the left. Maybe I want to go ahead and measure and see, all right, just how significant. Okay, I'm going to pull up my fixed range volume profile tool, measure from the first candle to the fourth candle here. And the one that really creates the imbalance or fair value gap are these two consecutive, but really the main one is the first one. And if I zoom in here, we're going to see that there's not zeros. Okay, you can see there is an imbalance. There is, obviously numbers that are slightly different from one another, left and right side, but there's one single zero here that would be shown as a true imbalance. If we were to take a look at this maybe a little bit more refined from first to third candle, we might get different results, couple zeros. All right, so we can see that really this is the true area of imbalance or as a fair value gap. And you can see how price, obviously we do wick a little bit lower twice, basically filling the entire fair value gap. But this tool, again, it's just going to reaffirm what you can already identify with your eye on the chart as an imbalance, as a fair value gap. And so it's a nice tool, play around with it, mess around with it. Maybe you'll be able to find some more refined entries. But personally, it's just, it's a cool tool that not many people know about. And so I wanted to make this video and kind of overview it. But with that being said, hopefully this is a tool that helps you out with your trading. If you got some value from this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more institutional kind of smart money trading and educational content. And looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.